Let's go, confident speaking community. I hope everyone is doing well today, and I hope that you have had a fantastic week so far. And I just want to express my gratitude and appreciation for your presence here today because I know that there are so many other things you could be doing with your time right now. And I absolutely appreciate it and consider it an honor that you choose to spend a little time with us here together as we all continue to grow together to become more confident and effective communicators in every aspect of our lives because it's so important. Communication is such a pivotal part of everything we do as human beings. And I'm grateful that you have the desire to be able to grow and to be better than you were yesterday, because that's what we're doing here. And what I'm going to do, just so you know, just a heads up, today I'm going to touch really quickly on generosity as a topic for us. And I'm not going to dive too deeply into it, but that's something I touched on last year, toward the end of last year in December, because I want us to become more intentional about the idea of generosity in our lives. And what we're going to do after that is we're going to get into some of the challenges. We're going to stretch our brains a little bit today. We haven't done that much in the past few weeks. And I want us to stretch our brains a little bit and get back to that learning to think on your feet aspect of what it is that we do here in the confident speaking community, which is part of that process of expanding your comfort zone. And before we do, I want to say hello to Donika. Donika, how are you today?
Good morning, team. Happy Saturday. Good morning, Brenda, Grace. I see everybody, Neda, Papi, Mama B. I am doing great. It is Saturday. I woke up, wrote a letter to myself because I promised in the beginning of the year. And guess what? The morning writing than I do for every morning. I didn't know you were about to talk about generosity, and that's all I said. I said the key to true abundance lies in a great, but in not in the greed, but in the generosity. So we need more kindness and support as human connection, more generosity towards ourselves and others. And that's all I wrote a letter this morning, how to be kind to your body, how to be kind to the words that you say and the people that are in your life. So thank you, team, for that. And I am here to support you and be generous with our time, our knowledge, and support each other.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Glad to have you. Glad to have you. And it's amazing how things come together when we least expect. We don't know what's going on in other people's minds, lives, or hearts, and they have a way of connecting at times. So, Brenda, how are you today? Welcome to the space.
Thank you so much for the honor, Tim. How am I coming in?
You're coming in well. You're coming in
Okay,
well.
okay, I'm going to keep it like this. My phone is on my little stool, and I'm sitting up away from it. So thank you for the honor. Good morning to everyone here in the space. Good morning, Danica. Good morning to everyone on the stage as speakers as well. Thank you for having me, and thank you so much for being here with us, as Tim has said.
Absolutely, absolutely. And thank you again. And as we continue to get into this new year, we're on the 11th day of January, 2025, and I'm sure that and I've heard that there have been a lot of experiences, a lot of unexpected experiences that people have had, some great, some not as great as they would have wanted them to be, but at the end of the day, we're still here. So that's something to be grateful for. And I want to just share a message for anyone that may be here for the first time and new to the space and the community. So I'm going to play this as we get into the conversation today. To our new listeners, I say welcome and thank you for joining today's Confident Speaking Space. Our mission? To help you become a more confident and effective communicator to transform the way you live, work, and play. We have 4 pillars to help you do that. 1. The 4 P's, which are pitch, pace, power, and pause, to speak more dynamically. 2. Conciseness, which helps you sound more organized and thoughtful when speaking. 3. Get comfortable being uncomfortable so you never miss an opportunity because you're too afraid to try. And 4, expand your comfort zone with intentional behaviors to develop new skills that will change your life. So be brave and request the mic. I invite you to simply introduce yourself, ask a question, or perhaps share your thoughts about the topic. Our goal is progress, not perfection, and we will support you every step of the way. If you want to stay connected, join our free community on X or visit our website at confidentspeaking.us, confidentspeaking.us, and subscribe to join private discussions for more personal support and additional resources. I hope to speak with you soon. Enjoy the show. All right, all right, all right. And this is something that I don't have to do, but I'm going to. And this is in the interest of transparency and the idea that we are, in fact, all growing together. Now, I put that together because I wanted it to be something that was easily repeatable and it was recognizable. But also, what I realize is that, and this is where I'm growing, I was telling my wife that I need to have a smoother transition into that little intro for the new people. And I only tell you that because I want you to realize that we don't have to have things absolutely perfect before we do it. We take action, we make things happen and move forward, and we figure it out along the way. And no one got upset because I didn't have the perfect transition going into that little promo that I did. And I'm telling you this because I've shared that I'm a bit of a recovering perfectionist, and I'm breaking myself out of the habit of trying to have everything absolutely perfect before I do something, because perfection does not exist. And we don't need to try to be perfect in what we do. We just need to make progress and continue to move forward. So you would not have even thought about that had I not shared it, but I shared it for that specific reason so that it may encourage someone else to stop being afraid and stop procrastinating on doing things that you need to be doing because you don't feel like it's perfect. It doesn't have to be. We just need to do it. So I want to share really quickly the idea of generosity. And I want this to be a year where generosity becomes one of our priorities. No matter what your goals are for the year, everyone has their own unique personal goals that you're wanting to accomplish this year. But generosity is something that you can incorporate into your goals to become a part of what you do. And I am very confident that if you go along with this and make generosity a part of what you do for this year, it will become a part of your life. There's certain behaviors that we establish in our lives, certain habits, and the more we do something, the more it becomes a part of who we are as an individual. And it gets down to the cellular level that we don't have to think about it. We don't have to think about waking up or think about eating. We don't have to think about saying hello to people we care about. That's just a part of what we do. And generosity is one of those things that I really feel that we can help change this world if we all develop that mindset and that approach to life. And when you think about generosity, it is a quality of being kind or generous to people, being willing to share, being willing to give to others. And that generosity can be time, it can be money, it can be your kindness, it can be your service. So no matter what it is you do in life, there are ways that you can be generous to people. And I want you to take the approach that I'm going to become very intentional with my generosity, because I'm sure all of you have heard that it's more blessed to give than to receive. And when you're in a position to give to someone else, it says that you have something. It may be abundance that you have. It may just be your skills that you have. And I want you to start thinking, what is it that you have the ability to do that you can share? What is it that you have that you can offer to someone in their lives? And this is something that can be very valuable to you as an individual as you go forward. Now, a few things that I want to touch on. I want you to think about this, because generosity is communication. This is the confident speaking space. And we know that in most cases, actions speak louder than words. Now, a few things that generosity actually communicates to other people when they get to witness or be the recipient of your generosity. It communicates empathy, that you have the ability to recognize other people's circumstances and needs, and that you're willing to be that person to step in and provide that assistance if necessary. Now, keep in mind, your generosity doesn't always mean that someone is in lack, because you can be generous to someone just because God put it on your heart to give someone $5, or God put it on your heart to tell someone that they did a fantastic job when they shared something in a space, or on the job, that they did something that you admired. That's generosity. So I want us to understand that generosity spans across so many different aspects of life and ways that we can demonstrate our generosity. But generosity communicates empathy, our concern for others, and a recognition and acknowledgement of their potential circumstances that they may be in, or just an acknowledgement of who they are as a person. Because remember, we've all needed help at some point in time, because our generosity may be the result of wanting to help someone in a difficult situation. Now, it also communicates a level of selflessness, to be willing to prioritize someone else for a moment or even for an extended time. It communicates our selflessness to others. I know a lot of people that will say, I'm not doing this for them. I'm not doing anything for anyone. And it's all about them, whether it's their time, money, kindness, or their service. And it also communicates that you are potentially a great team player. When you think about team, you don't have a team unless you have people that are there and willing to support one another to work toward a common goal. And if you're willing to demonstrate this generosity to other people, even without them asking for it, and that's what I'm speaking of. I'm thinking in terms of someone not asking you to do something. That's the type of generosity that I'm talking about in this particular case. And the team player communicates, or generosity communicates, that you are potentially a great team player to someone because you're coming bringing gifts, you're bringing kindness, you're bringing support without them even having to ask you for it. That's what great team players do. They're there for the team when the team needs it most. And sometimes you're doing things that the team did not even expect you to do. Can you imagine, or do you remember a time when someone did something for you that you did not expect? You knew you had a need, and someone showed up and said, Here, you know what? You were put on my heart, and I just wanted to bless you with this. And all you could do was cry because you knew that was right on time. It was exactly what you needed in that moment. Now, what are some of the reasons we don't demonstrate generosity to people? Just some of them. One reason people don't demonstrate generosity is they're afraid of being judged. Their fear of judgment, because you don't want someone to misunderstand your intentions or get the wrong impression. And when we're generous to some people, there are some people who may feel like you think you're better than them because you choose to be generous, and they have the wrong impression of your generosity. So in some people's minds at times, that may be a reason that you choose not to be generous. And I don't want these to be hindrances for you, because at the end of the day, when you give and do things from your heart, that's what matters the most. Don't allow what other people may think or perceive about you hinder you from being the generous person that you are trying to be and that you know you need to be, because I promise you, this is one of those things. The way that I explained, that I don't give prescriptive steps. When I share something with you, I'm never telling you that it's the only way to do something. I'm giving you options, something to consider, to apply, to try, and to incorporate into your life. But what I have said is that if you become a more confident and effective communicator, you will improve your life. And that's a prescriptive thought. Become a confident and effective communicator to change your life. And I will also say that becoming a generous person will change your life. It's something that will absolutely change the course of your life. Now, there's a fear of trust where you don't trust people and you feel as though someone is going to take what you give them, they're going to misuse or abuse your generosity. And a lot of times that's because we've experienced past abuses of our generosity and our kindness. And people may not have shown appreciation for what we have given them and shared with them. And it makes us hesitant to be generous to others in the future. And then there's family and friends. I'm sure everyone has had someone in their ear at some point in time that said, man, I wouldn't give them that. Don't share your ideas with them. Don't give them that money. You know, they're just going to come back and keep asking for it. And we allow those voices to prevent us from being the generous person that we are supposed to be, or that you may even want to be. But you allow those voices to cause you from doing what you know you should probably be doing in that moment. And sometimes you may feel it's insignificant. What in your mind feels like a generous gesture, you don't feel it's significant enough to go and approach someone. And then that fear of judgment kicks in because you think someone may be offended because you are putting them on the spot or whatever it is you're thinking in your mind that would make it insignificant. Get that out of your head. Because remember, one man's junk is another man's treasure. And as we discussed last week when we talked about value, value is relative to personal circumstances. Even if it doesn't feel extremely valuable to you, it could be valuable to someone else in ways that you could never imagine. So keep that in mind when you think about the things that will prevent you from being generous. Try to fight that and resist that. Now, there's some legitimate reasons to keep your stuff to yourself, to keep your time and your money to yourself. But aside from the ones that are absolutely legitimate, where you know someone is doing things and they've lied about circumstances and they're doing things that clearly violate the privilege of receiving generosity, don't do that. But I'm saying the instances where there's opportunity for you to have a different perspective and move and do it anyway. Now, here are just a few benefits to keep in mind when you're being generous to people. It actually can improve your creativity and your problem solving ability when you choose to be generous with people, especially when you give your time as a service provider, when you're sharing with people and potentially having conversations and spending time with them because they just need someone to be a caring, listening ear to them. And it does this because it opens you up and exposes you to new ways of thinking, to new ideas, and it actually pushes you to think, how can I be more helpful to this person? How can I provide something to them that's going to truly benefit them? And now you begin to ponder, how can I make this as impactful as possible? Not just dropping something off on their desk or putting something in their lap, dropping a couple dollars in their hand. But let's say that you're a developer and someone has a challenge that you heard them discuss in a space and you wanted to try and help them. So now what this does is it puts you potentially in a position where you may have to even learn a new skill to be able to provide your generosity through time and service. So it opens the door and it pushes us to think a little bit more beyond what we see on a regular basis. So that's a potential benefit of generosity that we really never think about. It also builds trust and influence, being generous with people. When we see someone that's willing to come giving to us, willing to come offer their service, offer their time, it gives us the mindset and the willingness that if we were curious about them on some level, you know how we have a tendency to be skeptical about people we don't really know. When we first meet them, we're watching and you keep one eye on them, even though you may be looking to the left, you keep one eye, you try to find some way to see them in the reflection to keep an eye on them. But when people demonstrate generosity to you, it opens the door for them to build trust and influence. Because remember, not only do you receive their generosity or do they receive generosity from you, there are other people who find out about your generosity as well, because people talk and people observe. So there may be moments and times where you do it publicly where others are able to see it. And this demonstrates to other people, as I said, generosity can communicate your selflessness, and it also can communicate that you are a team player. So you get to benefit from that because now people begin to have a greater level of respect for you, and they trust you because they see you giving without expecting anything in return. Because no one wants to feel used. And for someone to be willing to give with nothing expected in return, it says a lot about them. And we tend to trust them, and we tend to be more willing to listen to the things that they say because of their willingness to demonstrate that empathy, selflessness, and being a team player because they can. There's goodwill, which goes along with the trust and influence that comes along with being generous. You build goodwill with people. And then there's the unexpected opportunities that may come along with you being generous to people. A generous person will prosper, and whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Keep that in mind. So, being generous can potentially create unexpected opportunities for you. You never know who you're helping and how you may be helping them. And it's amazing when you hear some of the stories in movies, on television, or maybe even in your actual life, how someone blessed a person on the street with $100. And that was the key to changing this person's life. And they find the individual who gave them $100 7 months later, and they bless them because it opened the door for prosperity in their life. And not that you do it for that purpose, but the unexpected opportunities that come with this. In the process, remember, you're building trust and influence, you're building goodwill. And as a result of you doing that, people are seeing what you're doing, and they're establishing a perception of your character and who you are as a person. And now, when something comes available for them to potentially refresh you, now the doors begin to open that you did not expect. So I want you to really start thinking about this and becoming more intentional about the idea of being generous and the idea of generosity so that you can become that beacon of hope for someone. You can become that revelation that someone needs. You can become the example that people can begin to have confidence that there are still good people in this world. You never know the impact that you may have on someone by demonstrating your generosity. Now, one thing I don't want you to do, I encourage you to not base your decision to be generous on what someone has. There's a tendency at times that we will look at someone's circumstance. If you see someone that lives in a big fancy house and they drive a fancy car, and you feel led like maybe I should give them $10 or do something kind for them. There's a tendency at times that we'll feel like, you know what, they don't need it. They have more than I do. And we won't give them something. We won't demonstrate that generosity because we feel they have more than us, or we feel they don't actually need it. Don't let that be the reason. Do it for you. Do it because that's what you know needs to be done. And you open those additional doors for yourself. You create the goodwill, you build the trust and influence, and you open the door for the unexpected opportunities because we're doing this from the goodness of our hearts and because we know that it helps propel our ability as a society to begin to do that. And if you think about where we are now as a society, as more and more people become hostile, more and more people are refusing to speak to strangers on the street. So it's a perpetual behavior that's taking place right now that the world is struggling with, and it's becoming worse and worse. So imagine if people began to experience more generosity, how that too can become perpetual behaviors that we experience because people begin to realize that it is still okay for me to be generous and kind to other people. I don't have to do something because I'm expecting something in return. And I really want you to keep that in mind. So don't base it on what someone has. It doesn't matter how much they have. They could be a multi-billionaire. And if it's in your heart to pay for their lunch when you see them at a restaurant, do it. Because again, remember, there could be unexpected opportunities as a result of that. One act of kindness and generosity could open a door that could change generations for your family because of one decision to demonstrate generosity. And I want that to become a part of what you do and who you are as an individual. And I'm not saying anyone in here is selfish. I don't know you on that level, but I want this to become a part of what you do. And to do that, what I'm going to ask, I'm going to propose a generosity challenge for us. And you can do it the way you want. But what I'm going to propose as a challenge is for everyone in here and everyone listening to the recording to pick one person a month, or it could be one person every 3 months in 2025, and show some form of generosity to them. Pick one person a month or every 3 months, or whatever the frequency is. But I would encourage there to be at least 4 people throughout the course of the year that you demonstrate some generosity to them. And you're going to get to experience, you know how you get on your phone and what do they call it? Doom scrolling on these social media platforms, and you get these dopamine fixes from things that we do. Generosity can provide that same feeling for you, that same excitement, that same enthusiasm, that same joy when you see the smile on someone's face because you were generous to them. It can provide that for you. But pick one person a month or whatever frequency you choose and show some generosity to them that they may not have expected. Ideally, something they didn't expect. So if you do websites, and I'm not telling you how to manage your time, but sometimes we will say that we don't have time to do things when in fact we actually have time. It's just that we haven't prioritized our time effectively in order to be able to do many of the things that we want or need to do. Because if we have time to sit in spaces, we've got time to do some things that we say we don't have time to do. Think about that. So we just have to learn to prioritize what we're doing and what we're trying to accomplish. And what I will say to everyone, and I'm going to end with this: in order for you to become one of those people who gets to experience someone else's generosity, especially in this environment, in order to be considered for generosity, you have to be noticed. You have to be noticed. And that means speaking up in environments where people get to hear your thoughts and your ideas. You have to be willing to make yourself visible in most cases for people to know that you're even there. So you don't have to be asking for something. It could simply be the fact that people are seeing your effort, that they're observing your desire to be better. They're observing your desire to serve and be available for other people. But this is about speaking up in different environments. And this comes back to the idea of confident speaking, where you can't be afraid to try. You have to be willing to put yourself out there and be willing to make your presence known so that people know you exist as you are trying to provide insight, information, and impact in the environments that you're in. So with that, what I want to ask, I want 5 people, and I see Brenda's hand, Peace Lily, and then Nino's hand. But what I want to hear from 5 people, and we're going to give you 60 seconds, and I'm going to use the timer for this. I'm going to use the timer, and when the 60 seconds ends, that's the end. So I want you to take a moment to think about this. What is it that someone could potentially do to help you? Because this may spark some ideas. You could potentially be that first person that someone chooses to be generous for this month. Now, this isn't about, well, I won't put that on it. But I'm going to ask for 5 people to share that. You have 60 seconds to share something that you might be able to benefit from. But then after that, I want to hear from some of you to see how you prioritize generosity in your life, or what it is you feel you may do to be generous to people, and what's your relationship to generosity in general. So that's what I want to hear from some of you this morning. And then after a few minutes of conversation about that, we're going to get into some of the challenges. because you'll notice that at the top of the space where you see the little dots, I've posted some images. I think it's 3 images up there. And I want you to take a look at those images, and we're going to have some thinking on our feet. You'll get to process that image. And I'm going to ask you, you're going to pretend that you're the artist. I'll explain that later, but just take a look at the pictures. I'll come back and explain that because I don't want to distract you from the goal right now in this moment. So, Brenda, I saw your hand. We'll go to you first, and then we'll go to Peace Lily.
Okay, I need information. That would be that would be a great generosity to me. Information on just how to live, how to manage my money. I want to add to the space. You said generosity is time, kindness, monetary, and I'm going to add information. Generosity is also information.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was trying to think of expanding the list, and information is absolutely one of them. So thank you for adding that to the list, Brenda. Ways to be generous with people: time, money, kindness, service, information. So Brenda says she could use information about managing money better. All right, all right. So let's go now over to Peace Lily. And just a reminder, everyone, as was mentioned in the promo, where we practice conciseness, we do use a timer here in the space. So we give our new people 3 minutes to share their thoughts because you haven't had an opportunity to acclimate to what it is that we do in the space. So we give you that time, additional minute to work through it. But for those that have been here for a while, we take 2 minutes. And at a minute, 30 seconds, there's a chime that sounds like this. That means you have 30 seconds left to finalize your thoughts. And then at the end of the 2 minutes, you'll hear that chime once again. Now, what I want to do is I want us to really get intentional about that. And so what I may end up doing is asking you to go ahead and end at that point once the second chime finishes, because I want you to really practice this and be intentional about your conciseness. Because if the chimer goes off and then you keep talking and then you keep speaking for another minute, another 2 minutes, as though the chimer didn't happen, then that translates and transfers into other areas of your life. And I want us to be very intentional about understanding directions that we receive, the guidance that we receive, and doing things the way that they're expected. Because people watch that. They're observing how you respond to their guidance and their direction. And if we don't follow those directions, it potentially puts us in a position where some folks may not trust us because we've shown that, you know what, I asked them to do something simple and they didn't do it. They never do the simple things. So they won't trust you with the more important aspects of a company, of a business, of a project. So it's the little things that mean a lot. And that's why I'm going to get more, I guess you could say, stringent, more intentional about the timer, because I really want us to think about that and think through what we're saying so that we have the ability to refine our thoughts and allow conciseness to be an absolutely tremendous tool that will benefit you in your life and in different environments. So with that said, we're going to go to Donika. I saw Donika's hand go up, and then we'll come to you, Peace Lily, in just a moment.
Well, I don't want it to take over because I saw hands before others, but um, for me, generosity is the love language because I love to serve others and to give. So know that love language, and the giving is the act of service, and that is what I want to do. Now, in my personal life, I give time, support, uplifting, positive thoughts, share my gifts and skills through the teaching, with students or clients. At work with students is very good because I'm giving to them something that I experience. It's not just reading in the book, but sharing personal experience with the knowledge. I like to go behind to help people through having a lot of interns, mentoring them, and supporting children with their dreams when they play sports or have, during the science project. So just being there and giving selfless, because I don't need anything in return. I just want people to expand and be happy. So sometimes how do I know then generosity touch life? I get that. Thank you, Ms. Gunther, for doing that. You don't have to do that, but you do it because you care. So choose wisely and give 100%, because when you give that 110%, then you have your heart and your service have touched somebody. My words of affirmation that I share every day, mindfulness, encouragement, are very important. That is my generosity, and share skills and experience. But with these spaces in community, sharing, opening the space and creating a space for people to come, find hope, share dreams, and connect with each other, that is act of generosity as well. So this is what I have to share right now. Thank you again.
Absolutely, absolutely, and thank you. And yes, serving through the teaching, that's something that benefits people and is extremely valuable. And everyone, keep in mind what it is that you have to offer. And sometimes what you offer, you don't always see it as being valuable to other people. But this is where, okay, let me go ahead and move this back down from speaker, because something is going on with the sound here on that one. So we'll get you back up. Hopefully your mic will stop unmuting and making that noise. But when we talk about it teaching you and helping improve your creativity and problem solving skills as a teacher, it opens the door to observe someone's circumstances that you may have heard them share an idea, a thought, an experience, or a challenge. And it puts you in a position that if you're a teacher, and this is for anyone that enjoys teaching, even if you don't teach in a classroom, it opens the door for you to ponder, how can I utilize my ability to teach to help them, say Brenda, for instance, understand finances, to be able to manage her finances better. So there are different ways to be able to expand that and step into the generosity that you will begin to display. So thank you, Donika. So let's go now over to Peace Lily. Peace Lily, how are you today?
Hi, Tim. I love the space. Your message is timely. I'm sorry if you hear noise in the background. My car has a motor that won't quit. Anyway, it is what it is. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Anyway, I would say that it's funny. I asked for prayers from two people today, and they basically said no. And I was really shocked because they posture as people who are generous. But anyway, I dusted off my feet, and then I saw your space, Tim, and God is good. God is good. I'm grateful to be here, and I just have one thing to ask in the spirit of generosity. I have had this God. I just feel like it's divinely guided. That God has this concept that He planted in my spirit to help protect children against trafficking and exploitation. And I'm seeking somebody who can help me build the program. That would be really great. Unlimited funds. I know it's a tall order, but in the spirit of generosity, I pray that God's will be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm glad you were able to make it. And that's unfortunate that someone was not willing to pray for you. But we know, I know that God will take care of that. He will open that door, and you have expressed that. And as people are listening, either live or on the recording, I will not be surprised that someone reaches out to you and wants to pray with you to offer that as an act of generosity. Because again, as you said, prayer can be an act of generosity to someone, to be willing to pray with people. That's generous because it requires time, and it requires you again to understand what their circumstances are in order to know what to pray for. So thank you, Peace Lily, for coming up, and I hope that your endeavor goes well so that you're able to save some lives. and change some lives at the same time. So let's go now.
Thank you, Tim. Sorry, I just want to say thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You're very welcome. Thank you for coming as well. Brenda, I see your hand.
It was Peace Lily. Praise the Lord. Because I only wanted to know who was that speaking. And then she said, thank you. So there it was. Thank you.
There you go. You're welcome. Yep, it was Peace Lily. So let's go now over to Nino. Nino, welcome to the space, sir. How are you?
I'm doing really good. First of all, Tim, I love you, and I love you, Donika, for doing these spaces all the time because I can surround myself with people that have the same values as me. So thank you. So one of my asks is my pin tweet. If you go on my profile, those are two organizations that I'm proud to be part of, that I'm going to have a chance to get in front of a camera, but then also on the stage. So what I'm trying to do is get more exposure on those two organizations. It could also be, just sharing it, but also sponsorship. And then my generosity is my time. My number one commodity is my time. So I make myself available through the DMs, phone calls, Zoom meetings, but then also, being there for my family and being there for myself. I give back because I work at a wellness center, so I'm able to kickstart people's journey when it comes to their health and mindset. Thank you again, Tim, for everything and giving me the opportunity for this floor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Nino. And I love, so that's two people that are focused on their service and their ability to give and wanting help to be more generous to others. And that says a lot about people. And that's something that opens doors for us when we're willing to give to others because people see that. And when we are doing things that people relate to and that they're able to connect with, it opens their heart to want to contribute in some form or fashion. And I encourage us, for anyone that is presenting what they would like help with, just be aware that it may not always be the exact help that you are wanting or asking, but it may be something that's valuable to you. So don't put someone in a position where they feel judged, so to speak, as though you helped them the wrong way, because I've seen that. I've seen people not be grateful for something that someone did out of the kindness of their heart. So just keep that in mind. So let's go over now to, I think, Munene. I know Munene was up here earlier already. Munene, and then Netta, and then Poppy.
Yeah, hello everyone. It's great to be here. Yeah, for me, I think generosity is being there for people when they are at their lowest, and have been at my lowest. And one thing that I learned is that to really be there for others, right? And for instance, when you text me and tell me you are going through a situation, I'm not that kind of a person that gonna just jump into conclusions up and down. So I like be there for people and not concluding. Yeah, and for me, like for instance, this month it's my birthday, and I'm planning to spend my birthday by instead of spending money on lavish thing, I just want that day to make people happy and just random people happy. That's what I'm planning to do, spend my birthday. The other thing is that, Tim, you mentioned that something that I believe is very valuable, to not be judging people but how they look, to not be generous in discriminatory. So thank you for that. Yeah, and as part of looking for people to be generous, I'm still looking for a job. I'm a product designer and I do web development. I'm not at lowest, but I'm looking for job just to expand my career. Thank you so much, Steve, for the time. Thank you. That's all.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Munene. And I love that you are looking at your birthday as an opportunity to share with others. That's generosity at its finest. When it's your day of celebration, you want to do something for other people. And that says a lot about you. Can you imagine how people will feel when they see Munene making it rain for someone else on his birthday? That says a lot about a person's character. And I imagine that you are going to have a fantastic birthday and you will get much more joy out of the idea that you did something to put a smile on someone else's face, more so than the lavish things, as you described, that you may buy for yourself. Because at the end of the day, when we buy the fancy things, no matter how fancy they are, once you've had it for a few days, you've used it a few times, the glow quickly fades and you realize it's just another thing unless it truly is necessary in your life. You know, you could buy a fancy stove, but at the end of the day, after so much use, the thrill of the fanciness goes away and it just becomes a functional tool to make sure your food is hot and cooked for you. And you lose the thrill of the added expense that we spent on it. So being able and willing to redirect some of those resources, some of that kindness, some of the desire to be excited about something to someone else is valuable for you. And I'm loving this. And this may not be the rah rah get excited about it topic, but this is an impactful topic that will have an impact on your life. And you will feel the effects of this if you take it to heart and you begin to think intentionally about being generous to people in your life. So let's go now over to Netta. Netta, how are you?
Thank you very much, Tim. I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. I wanted to say that this topic really resonates with me on a deep level. So I'll make it quick, and what I'm about to say is related to generosity. I'm reading a book by Barbara DeAngelis, and it's 10 Secrets Every Woman Should Know. But the lessons that she's teaching can be used for men as well. One of the things she talks about is becoming better human beings. Why are we here on this earth? Why are we here? Like, what's the point of existing? And she talks about the importance of the reason why we're here is we're here to become better human beings. We're here to help. We're here to self-actualize. And by generosity is one of those, through being generous with our time, with our talents, through, for example, yourself and Donika and Brenda, through the spaces that you're hosting, the messages that you preach, the lives that you're impacting. That is generosity at its finest, in my opinion. The impact that these spaces are making, the lives that they're changing. There are spaces, to me, spaces are like a tool. You can be used for good, but it could also be used for evil purposes, just like a knife. But the spaces that I've been here are just wholesome and good. So I just want to say thank you to you, Donika, Brenda, Nino, Poppy. These people have been there for me, especially the past few days, through their music, through their voice, through their time, and through their kindness and their love and support. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Netta. Totally agree. And I love the additional perspectives, the expanded perspectives that y'all are sharing on how generosity can be demonstrated and provided to others. I only listed a few, and those they were kind of general, but I love this. So keep thinking about that, everyone. And for those of you that may be nervous about coming up, come up and share your thought, your experience. Because remember what I said after I mentioned the challenge is that in order to receive the generosity, you have to be noticed. People need to know you exist. And that means speaking up in environments where people get to hear your thoughts and ideas. And that comes back to being a confident and effective communicator where you're not afraid to raise your hand and share your thoughts. So what we'll do is we'll go over now. And Poppy, if you don't mind, because I know Salafa was up here, and I think she got bumped down a couple times, and she did have her hand up. So if you're okay with, I'm going to go to Salafa, and then we're going to come to you after that, Poppy, and then Phantom and Brother E. Salafa, how are you today?
I'm doing great. What about you, Tim?
I am fantastic. Great to see you.
Good to see you too. And hi, Janika and Brenda and all of you. I'm sorry because I have internet issues today. Okay, about the topic, I want to say something that many people understand generosity as a kind of giving money, but it is not. The real generosity is to be kind with people, to make acts of kindness with others in your community, with people you know, and also with strangers. To give the people your time, your energy, to listen to them, to advise them. All of that is a kind of generosity. And many people have a great lack of that. I can say also when you make that, that will have a great impact on you. It will help you to stay emotionally balanced, and it will make you happy, and it will increase your feel with your self-worth. And thank you for this amazing topic. Okay.
Absolutely. And thank you, Salafa. And, Salafa is a teacher as well. And when someone is a teacher, that's one of the most noble roles a person can have in society, because they're preparing our future. As Whitney Houston said, I believe that children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. And they're going to do it. And it's up to us to make sure that in our generosity, being willing to take time with children, to share some time with children. They may not be your own children, but if you're in the presence of children, whether they're nieces and nephews or friends' children, that generosity to share with them can be invaluable, because children often need someone that inspires them. And that's a great act of generosity for these children. And you'll be amazed at how appreciative the parents will be as well, because that third party validation is something that's real. And I know all of you have been in situations where you've told your children or you've told your spouse or someone something, and they're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then the moment someone else says it, now they get a revelation and an epiphany when you just said it an hour ago. So be generous with the time, with your words and your kindness, as Salafa said. So let's go now over to Poppy. How are you, sir? Great to see you.
Blessings, Tim Brown, Donica, Brenda, all the speakers and the listeners in this space. Thank you for having this great topic. I would like to take my remaining of my time to ask you, Mr. Brown, if you would allow me to pray for Peace Lily, if you don't mind, if she would accept.
Yes.
Most precious Father, in the name of Yeshua, you know us and every hair on our head. You know what Peace Lily is going through right now. And my heart was broken when she went into two spaces, asked for prayer, and it was not rendered. I ask by the power of your Holy Spirit and on your omnipresence that you would touch her, not just her, and relieve her of whatever it is she's going through, but everyone in this space that is hurting. You know their hearts, you know their mind. Do it by your Holy Spirit, and we believe it by faith, and we receive it now. Healing be in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you, Tim.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you, Poppy. And so we never know how things will happen. And yes, I know some of you may be wondering my hesitation, because I know everyone has a different belief, a different faith. But at the same time, I also know that there are moments and times where things need to happen. And when I do something, I try to be led. And that's one of those moments where, for me, God said, yes, do this now. because I was going to mention doing it tomorrow or in a DM, but it doesn't come across the same way. So that could benefit someone else as well in the space. So thank you for doing that for Peace Lily Poppy. So let's go, Brenda. Go ahead, Brenda. I see your hand, and then we'll go to Phantom, and then Brother E, Mama B, and then Grace.
I got chills. She said, I asked two people. Poppy comes up here and says it was two spaces, and that was probably more believable. And then he says, can I pray for her? Wow. I don't know if you guys know what we just witnessed, but it was a miracle and it was beautiful. All right, let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. We never know when things will happen for us. And this is why it's so important, people, to be willing to express your concerns, your thoughts, or your needs in appropriate moments when you have an opportunity to ask your questions, to get insight, guidance, or advice. Don't be afraid of the moment. This is part of what we're doing here, is so that you get comfortable being uncomfortable, that you expand your comfort zone, and you begin to be comfortable being who you are. And sometimes we have to ask and put things out there. So thank you again for that. And I love that moment, the experience that you got to have. So you came here, Peace Lily, and got what it was you were looking for just that quickly. So let's go now over to Phantom. How are you, Phantom?
Yeah, hey Tim, and it's a great weekend, and it's such wonderful positivity coming through. I was a little sick this week, so finally I'm recovering and I'm hearing all these positive messages, and I feel my mood uplifted. So I think, one of the greatest moments of communication is the idea of connection, right? And the greatest idea of gratitude is to be grateful for where we are at the moment, because the past has already passed and the future is yet to come. But we should be grateful for where we are, because that is the only place, where we truly experience our existence. So I think, as gratitude should be felt, it is also important to then further communicate it, to share and spread that kindness and positivity. And I think this space is a great example of that. And I think this is like a ripple effect of positivity, right? I feel that people came here looking for positivity, and it was so instantaneous. And Brenda called it miracle, and I feel that, right? Like, I feel sometimes the universe speaks out to you. Sometimes just play things have to play out a certain way. But you know at the end of the day, we have to be grateful for wherever we are, because there is something in the future waiting for us which we don't know, right? And we're just on our journeys. And I truly have to feel that this gratitude is a great way to practice being in the moment and acknowledging everyone's role in our lives. Thank you.
Absolutely. And you mentioned the gratitude that we can express to everyone. And that gratitude can also be considered generosity, because people may do things for us and we don't necessarily express to them generously how much it impacts us, how appreciative we are of that. And I consider it very generous when someone shares with me that they've been impacted by what we do in this community, by the efforts that we all bring together when we share with one another. That's generous to me, because a lot of people will go into environments, go to places, and get to benefit from something that someone offers and never say anything and never let the person know that they've been impacted by what they experienced from someone. And I want you to know that can be very impactful, and that's generous, because it isn't the norm. People don't normally do that. They get what they got, they use it, they're excited, and they never go back and say, "Oh man, this was so valuable for me. I'm so appreciative of what you did." That's a form of generosity as well. So keep that in mind. And I encourage you, those of you who are employees, you work a 9 to 5, you work a regular job. Learn to be generous with your leaders, with your supervisor, because as the leader, it's rare that anyone shows any concern for their well being. It's usually, hey, boss, what can you do for me? Can I get a raise? Can I get some time off? Can I get something? Can you do something for me? And it's rare that the boss experiences any type of generosity through kindness or concern from their employees. And if you do that, that will establish a different type of connection between you and your supervisor that you would never imagined would happen. It opens the doors for new opportunities because now they begin to see you as an ally. They begin to see you as someone that you have shown concern and care for me. Now I'm going to do the same for you. And they begin to bring opportunities to you to go to things, go places, and experience things that other people won't get because you were generous to them. So keep that in mind. So we're going to go to Donika and then Brother E. Go ahead, Donika.
I just want to say this. For almost 3 years that I know you, you have been my friend and my co-host, and we have hosting and co-hosting together. But I heard people calling you pastor, teacher, professor, brother Tim. So mind this, everybody here is a brother or a sister. But how much time, knowledge, generosity, peace, kindness, effort Tim Brown have put it in here. And when Nino comes in every space, he always say my name and Tim's name. We didn't do nothing different, but it hits him on the right spot at the right time when he needed the most. Neda said the same. Grace takes in the back and pray for California, even though then she's going through trouble for herself with her health or have so much going on. She always put others. So Tim, I'm just want to show gratitude for your generosity that you show. I am very, very grateful and thankful for the love and support and generosity that these spaces are showing for each other. It wasn't like this 3 years ago. My goodness, the energy, the vibration, the connection, human connection have changed and is getting better and better. So people are aligned and taken aback and found the people where they belong. So if the Peace Lily said, I'm looking for prayer, and we know that, who did the prayer?
Poppy.
Yeah, Poppy did the prayer, and I talk about generosity this morning. God always bring his kids together. Always, he knows what we need. He knows somebody need to heal, somebody need to serve, somebody need to share, somebody need to teach, and somebody just need to listen. Know then we are generous of each for each other and with each other in here. So I just want to say thank you to you, Tim Brown, and we continue to grow together and support each other, even though sometimes we have our differences. Man, did I learn from straight answer, from setting boundaries, for being honest. And you have been that person, sometimes I don't like what I hear, but I learn, and I am here, and I want to continue grow with all of you. So be generous with each other, because look at fire is bursting everywhere, disease is a war. Don't take life for granted. Be generous, because life is so precious and so delicate. It can go away in a blink of eye.
Thank you so much for that, Donika. And it's true. Things can change in a moment's notice. And as I said, whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. Your time will come. And don't get so caught up in what's in it for me. We have to get away from the mindset of what's in it for me when we do things for people, because that isn't the right attitude to have, especially from the perspective of simply being generous. And to Donika's point, and thank you again, Donika, because I enjoy doing this, and it's almost I'm trying to think if it isn't selfish, but I know I get to benefit because I hear the stories of people's lives changing. So that's the joy that I get from doing this. So I win when I do this. I get to hear the experiences, the things that Donika just said, the things that Nino says when he comes in, to know that someone's life is changing and has become better because I have said something or did something that was impactful for them. And also to Donika's point, she's been in the spaces since they began, and she's seeing a transformation in the way people are behaving, in the attitude and the mindsets of people in these spaces. And this is because someone has to be willing to commit to demonstrating the type of character and behavior that the world needs to see. And if we commit to being the types of people that others want to be around, remember, I always say that you only get one chance to make a first impression. So make sure you leave the impression you want to be remembered for. And when we do that, people remember. And when it comes to the idea of generosity and being generous, when we're generous with our kindness, when we're generous with our character, when we're generous with our personality, that's sharing, that's caring, because it opens the door for someone in a different environment to be able to take the experience they had with you to go share with someone else. And believe me, people are watching. Someone is always watching, and people learn. And even if it isn't intentional, there's this tendency we have that when we spend time around certain people, we begin to adapt parts of their personality and their behavior, and you don't even realize it. And some of you have probably been in relationships and or in your family, and someone will say, "Why are you talking like that? Where did that come from? Where did you learn that? Why do you speak this way?" And it's because of our associations. So, as confident and effective communicators, we have the ability to change the temperature in the room. We're the thermostats. So we have to be very careful about how we present ourselves because we set the temperature in the room. If there's hostility, you have the ability to tone it down and cool things off in the room as a confident and effective communicator. And that's being generous. That's also being generous because now you're providing a more pleasant environment. You're generously sharing your time and ability with those who don't know how to change what's going on to make it more appealing, inviting, and beneficial for them. That's generosity. So, with that said, thank you again, Donika. I appreciate you. I really do. And us being honest with one another, being honest with people that you know, that you care about, that's generosity. A lot of people will sit on the phone with someone, they'll eat dinner with people and not be honest about how they feel. And they're allowing those bad feelings, you're allowing quality time that you could be having pass away because you aren't being honest. That's a form of generosity. So, with that said, we'll go on over to Brother E, then Mama B, Grace, and then Hakeem. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate. I'm going to rotate a couple people. And this is because we have a few additional requests. Some hands are raised that people want to come to the stage. And so don't worry, I'll do that. But if you want to come back up, you're welcome to come back up. And we're going to take a few more hands and then we're going to do the challenge with the artwork because I want us to do that. I'm going to make sure we do that today. So by 12:30, we're going to make that transition. So let's go ahead and go over to Brother E. How are you, Brother E? Welcome to the space.
Thank you. Thank you, team. Thank you so much for the space and thank you for the opportunity to speak. It feels a bit overwhelming, but here we are. Thank you so much. Donika, you're the reason why I joined the space. Let me just confirm, Tim, do I have 3 minutes? Because this is my first time so that I can at least relax.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So I can tell now. I came in, the peace, oh my God, the peace in this space is so unsettling. It's making me feel uncomfortable. I'm like, when do I get to this level of peace that is within this space? But I ain't gonna worry, because if I'm gonna come here every Saturday, same time, then it means it's gonna just, as you just said, I'm gonna get it by osmosis. So thank you so much for the space. Donika, thank you. I get to follow your spaces. Papi was here. I think we have interacted in some spaces. I saw some familiar names here, and that means I'm not alone. Let me say hi to the speakers. Let me say hi to those on the listeners, even those in the anonymous listeners bench. I want to say hi. Tim, you raised some important questions in terms of how one will want to share their generosity, and it really touched me. It really touched me. So I thought I should just come in right in without even thinking what you guys were talking before and share. So before I before I continue speaking, my thoughts are with anyone who is in this space, who is going through a difficult moment. And whichever word, whichever place I mention, whichever name I might mention, if it triggers you in any way, just understand that I mean well, and my thoughts are with you. Having said that, I've come to realize that throughout my life, I've been giving so much. I've been giving so much to those around me, and it's become a part of me. Even if I want to stop giving, my time, my kindness, my goodness, even if I want to stop, I can't. But I've also come to understand that being generous is not easy. Oh, my 3 minutes are up.
You
Okay.
still have 30 seconds. You still have 30 seconds.
So what I'm doing right now is that I'm channeling all the generosity to me, and that's where maybe I need mentorship and support. Thank you so much. Maybe I'll come back another time.
Absolutely. And thank you for that mentorship and support. And what I would encourage everyone to do, if you don't get to share it up here on the mic, put it in the chat. Now, because the space is being hosted through the Confident Speaking community, it requires you to be in the community in order to comment in the chat. Now, that wasn't a ploy to get people to join that community. That wasn't what it was. And it just so happens to be a feature or the functionality of the space and the community. The community was intended to provide a way to communicate with those who wanted to be informed about what the confident speaking space and community is doing. That was the purpose of it. But if you want to post it in the chat, then definitely we would love to be able to document that so that we can see what it is and know what it is that you are looking for, what you may need help with. And you never know who may be able to step in and provide that assistance for you. Now, I want to remind everyone that when you do come up in the space, we ask that you raise your hand if you want to speak, because we open the door for people to become a speaker without actually having to speak. The reason we do that is some people are afraid. Just seeing the word speaker under their name can be terrifying. So we create the opportunity to make progress by simply being a speaker without actually having to say anything. And it's progress. Our goal is progress, not perfection. And that's what we want for you. So I just want to throw that out there so everyone knows, just in case someone is up as a speaker and they don't have their hand up. We only call on people when they raise their hand. That way we know for certain that you're ready to speak and want to speak, and that you aren't trying to take your first step and make progress to just simply be on the stage, because sometimes that's terrifying to know that you may accidentally hit the microphone and people hear you speaking and you didn't want to. And we respect that. So Just wanted to throw that out there. And before we go to the next speaker, which is going to be Mama B, I want to play this in this little clip really quickly. Greetings to everyone here in today's Confident Speaking Space. Your presence is greatly appreciated and we would love to hear from you. Our goal is progress, not perfection. So please don't be afraid to request a mic. You're invited to share your thoughts as a speaker or in the chat. We're all growing together and we're here to help you become a more confident and effective communicator in every aspect of your life. If you're enjoying the conversation and want to stay connected, you can join our free community on X for updates about future spaces. But don't forget to visit our website at confidentspeaking.us for additional resources and to continue your journey. Enjoy the rest of the show. All right. And just so those of you know, those that may have recently joined the space, today we are discussing generosity. And I have posed a generosity challenge to the space and the community today that we'll pick one person a month or one person every 3 months in 2025 and to show some random generosity to. However that looks for you, whatever it is you feel led to offer them, that's your choice. But I'm posing that challenge, and I would love for you to document it because I want you to write down who you helped, where you were generous to someone, what you did, and I also want you to write down how you felt after you did it and share the experience so that you're able to remember that experience for yourself. Because I promise you, when you take on an attitude of generosity and make that a part of who you are, it isn't just something you do, it's a part of who you are. Because me hosting this space and teaching and encouraging people, that's who I am at my core. Just as, what was it? Who was it? Just a moment ago. Oh, Brother E. Just as Brother E said, he can't help it but be generous. That's who he is. And when we make something a normal behavior, it becomes a part of who we are. And what better way than to become generous? What better thing to do than to make generosity a part of who you are? Because remember, it opens the door to build trust and confidence. It opens the door to build goodwill. And it also opens the door for unexpected opportunities in your life. But more importantly, you get to have a positive impact in someone else's life that they will never forget. So, Donika, go ahead, and then we'll go to Mama B.
Yes, I love what brother, honest,
Brother E.
Yeah, brother E said, because he like to share and he's generous, but sometimes we have to understand how much is too much. When people are vulnerable and they share, they are misunderstood or use those words for interest of others. So always start with an open heart and open mind, and you like the walls around your heart, because not everybody is going like you what you say. But if you have a generous and kind heart and you know your intention why you're coming, be prepared. You are not everybody's cup of tea, but sometime, and I put like 5 points in there: fear of vulnerability. Some individuals may fear that being generous could lead to being taken advantage of, or that their kindness might not be reciprocated. I like got pushed down many times because I was expressing myself like we talked in Albania, open and loud and sincere, and I learned how to think twice before I speak, find the right group of people, and just less is more sometime, and I learned how to listen more throughout my life. And these are some advice that I want to say. You don't have to say too much, but say the right thing.
Absolutely. Balance is important. Always maintain balance because you can do too much of a good thing and that could be bad. So make sure that you have a balanced approach. And the more you do it, the more you will recognize how to balance out what it is that you're doing. And this goes back to, I think it's similar to the idea of people pleasing, where some folks get in the habit of being a people pleaser. But the difference between being a people pleaser and pleasing people is love. People pleasers do things out of fear and guilt, but pleasing people is done out of love. And that's the difference. So just make sure you have the proper balance, because if you need to pay your rent and someone asks you to borrow $900 and your rent is $1,000, you probably don't need to give them that $1,000 no matter how much you want to. So we have to be aware of what's reasonable and what makes sense for you to be able to do. So just keep that in mind. Always think about balance. And this is why if you ever hear me in here or even in other spaces, there's a tendency if certain things are said, I know that as a listener, it's easy to hear something and lean toward an extreme idea of an opinion or perspective. And I tend to present I tend to present the balanced side of it, so you can consider the left and the right side, and not just feel that the right side is the only way it can work, but to be aware that there's a left side you need to consider also. So with that, we'll go ahead and go to Mama B. So Mama B, then Grace, Hakeem, Kenny, Amber, Ingrid, and Mary. Mama B, go ahead. How are you today?
Oh, I am fantastic, Tim Brown. Thank you so much for this space, and Donika and Brenda and everyone in the space. Oh, I am loving the production. Tim Brown, the production coming through with the little breaks in between. I love that. And I love the music. Everything was balanced, yes. And that's what I want to be. I want my space to be when it grows up, to be like this space, you know. But of course, maybe not as perfect as this one because, you know, in our space, we're just Mama B around the fire, just talking. But anyway, I wanted to say what you said earlier in one of your points about establishing your character. Ooh, that just resonated with me because sometimes I think God, I get whiplash sometimes. You know, I'm in a space and I hear people talk and I've heard them talk somewhere else. And in that space, they're just different people from the other space. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, let me check. Is this the same person that I heard them so meek and mild in this other space? And then they're kind of like, so what's the word? Yeah, you know what I mean, but on this other space. But anyway, so that establishing your character is like, you know, make sure that what people see is consistent because it's kind of like, you know, it's a little disorienting when you're one person here and the other one, like, which one is it? But anyway, I wanted to say also when Munene talked about birthday and how he's generous during his birthday, and I thought about something that my son once said, and I'm going to land here. And he said, you know, I don't understand. I think it was around his birthday or something. And he said, you know, Mom, this whole thing of birthdays and us getting all of these gifts for birthdays is kind of like something is off about that. I said, mothers carry us for 9 months, and then they go through the labor, the pain with the labor. They wake up in the middle of the, and yet when it comes birthdays, we the children are the one that are being celebrated. And I thought, you gotta like that. You need to start talking like that. And, you know, so I just thought it was interesting that, yeah, maybe we need to start being generous to our mothers on our birthdays instead of gimme, 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 gimme. Thank you. I'm done speaking.
I like that. That's a good one, Mama B. Be generous to the mother. You know, I have a niece, and I think on her, I want to say it may have been her 10th birthday. She wanted to go to a shelter. She wanted to go somewhere. I forgot exactly where, but she wanted to go be of service to others. That was her birthday gift to herself, to go serve somewhere, other people that were in need. And those are things that you don't just randomly wake up and do things like that. That has to be part of your character. But that's an aspect of our character that can be developed where we have that genuine concern for others. Remember, generosity is a form of communication. And just a few things it can communicate is your empathy. Generosity can communicate your selflessness. And generosity can also communicate that you're a team player because you're willing to put others above yourself for a moment in that particular instance to show them that they matter. And whenever you have a team that plays so that their teammates can be successful and they're enjoying themselves, they're very hard to beat. I don't care what the talent level is, but if a team plays for one another and they're enjoying what they're doing, they're very difficult to beat. Go ahead, Donika.
As you talk, and I'm having all this download in my heart, and I'm like, how lucky are we to share all this information, as Brenda said, in here. And they are third world country, then they don't have the luxury. There are places, then they still, the schools don't have the materials that they need. And sometimes I think, what if we create like mini books out of all these spaces and share for the kids to have like the guides and like donate it pack and send them? Or somebody, want if they want workshop, really to be serious, because we always are available. And these places and these spaces are golden because it's information, parenting and leadership and mindfulness and communication skills. It is free. Something have to happen, so all this information to be turned into books. And especially people say that we don't have all of this, we don't have. There you have it, because it is free and we have to do something. We have a lot of leaders from different countries in here, people that want to learn. Take notes, create some mini books, and you share it and be that person. You can mentor, you can coach people how to play soccer and bring them together, build leadership, teach them how to communicate, because these are purposefully spaces to build peoples. But knowledge, to build that confidence and to become what they want, and to give something to the children. I'm big on the children, and I'm going diet teacher at heart, but kids need today more than other because technology and the phones are taking over their life. So take some notes from here and share.
Absolutely. And that would be a very generous use of time to take some of the knowledge, the things that you walk away with, some of the ideas and the nuggets, and make it available to other people. And remember, one of the potential benefits of generosity is improving your creativity and problem solving, because you begin to think of different ways or unique ways to be able to be generous. And Donika just ideated something as a form of generosity just in that moment. It led her to think of something different to be able to do, to be generous to people. So keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So let's go over now to Grace. So we have Grace, then I'm going to say Kenny, and that may be wrong, Kenny, but let me know once you get to speak. Then Amber, Ingrid, and then Mary. Go ahead, Grace. How are you? Welcome to the space.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm grateful. I'm so grateful to be here and thinking and praying for the people in the fires, because I'm from California and I've also been through a lot of fires, physically and emotionally and spiritually, the last 14 years when my life turned upside down in every way possible. And I literally almost died because of a fire. But God loves a generous heart, and God's word is what sustains me and can sustain anyone through the worst of fires and trials. Uh, so much on my heart that I want to share. And I'm so grateful, Tim, for you and Brenda and Donica, Mama B, everybody in here that I learned from. As I have a challenge for us all. Tim, there is something on your phones. iPhones are very easy, but if you're able to be on Spaces and you have a there's a little button, a little thing that allows you to voice record. And you can do a 2-minute practice and share something that you learned from on this space today. I challenge you all, and put it on your timeline. Use your voice and use it to practice your confident speaking. I have a quick story to share about Jesus healing 10 lepers. And 9 of them went on with their life, but 1 came back to thank Jesus. And he said, "Where are all the rest?" And he didn't know. Only 1 out of 10 said thank you. And I think in this day and age, it's like 1 out of 1,000 that actually come back and thank in the ways, in generous ways. And I pray that you'll all thank Tim in generous ways by sharing his space, buying him a cup of coffee, whatever God puts on your heart, whatever you're supposed to do. God loves a generous heart, not out of fear or even my words, just. So I wake up saying thank you to God every morning. This morning, I had the same verse, Tim. We're in the same book, Proverbs chapter 11. He who refreshes others will be refreshed. The Bible doesn't say God helps those who help themselves. Love you.
Thank you, Grace. I really appreciate that. And yes, that kindness to say thank you, to express that appreciation for something that has done, it goes a long way, not just for them, but also for you, because you in turn get the same thing back from other people. And again, it isn't because that's what you're expecting. It's because that's part of the process. That's just what happens. That's how it works. And I do want to say for some of you, because there have been a number of you that have come up as speakers and the system is kicking you down or the connection is breaking. So just know that we have accepted a number of speaker requests, but for whatever reason, I'm going to say it's the connection that it isn't sticking. It isn't allowing you to either come up or allowing you to stay up. So just know that we see you and that we've tried to bring a number of people up, and it just wasn't working today. But stick with it. Come back again next week, and when the time is right, you will absolutely be up here to share your thoughts, and we're looking forward to hearing them. So let's go now over to Hakeem, and then Kenny. Hakeem, let's see. Yes, Hakeem, how are you today?
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to say thank you. I'm new to the community, and public speaking has always shook me, I guess. And if you hear screaming in the background, I'm potty training my 3-year-old. But my name is Hakeem. I'm originally from Canada. I live in Florida. And I'm just so grateful to be in these spaces where I'm learning and growing, because I really had no expectations. I just wanted to take my time to say thank you to Poppy Abraham for allowing me in his space to be vulnerable and allow me to meet. I want to call you Pastor Tim Brown, because your words were so, without even knowing you and knowing what you did, your words were so effective. They literally felt like I was getting a jab in the gut to say, wake up and step into yourself, step into your purpose. So I just wanted to take some acknowledgement to thank these gentlemen for allowing me to not be fearful, to step into leadership, and just to learn and grow. And again, you mentioned something in referencing people pleasing. That is what I've known to do. I feel comfortable in playing the team. I'm always knowing what my role is, as long as we win. So I just want to win. My goal is just to win, and I don't need to be the chief. If I need to be the chief, I'll be the chief. In basketball, they have somebody like a shooter, Kobe Bryant. Sometimes you need to take the shot, and I'm learning not to be afraid to take the shot. So I just wanted to take the time for allowing me up here to speak and introduce myself to you and this community. And I'm so grateful to be a part of this, to listen and to learn. Bless you all.
Absolutely. Thank you and bless you as well, Hakeem. And I want to just remind everyone how your words can impact people and you don't know it. You don't realize the impact that you have on someone's life. And that act of generosity is important for us because that's encouraging for Hakeem to share that with me, with Poppy, and anyone else that you may share those moments to let them know that, hey, what you're doing matters. You are making a difference. And that's generosity, and people appreciate that. And sometimes when we may feel we don't need to get pats on the back for what we do, but in reality, we need them. Every now and then, everyone, I don't care how strong you are, everyone needs a pat on the back and deserves a pat on the back from time to time. Even though you can pat yourself on the back, it's still valuable and beneficial when you can get that pat on the back from other people because it's an indication and again, just a reminder that, hey, you make a difference so that you keep going and that you don't lose sight of the fact that what you're saying and what you're doing is important to people. So thank you again, Hakeem. And I'm very happy to hear that you are not just hearing things that are being said, but you're taking them, applying them, and you're embracing them to become a part of who you are and what you do. Donika, I see your hand. Go ahead.
I'll keep it short. I'm just want to share a personal experience. 3 years ago, when I started this job in this school, I was the seventh teacher. And so the moment that I walk inside, kids said, "We make you live too, just like others." And I stood in there and I said, "Listen, I love being a teacher and I love to get to know you. So put it in your head, I'm not going anywhere. And whenever you throw to me, I'm going get it." I said, and I'm going keep in my pocket. And they keep laughing. So, but they broke me. The first week, I got punched on my lip. I got, breaking fights because it was, I don't know, they didn't have a consistent teacher. So I took my purse and I left. My one of my principals, vice principals, she followed me. She said, "Miss Gunther, we know who you are. You don't know us, but we know you. Please come back. These children need you. Don't let them, when the voice is louder, they're suffering more, and we need somebody like you." That moment, I said, wow, I have to put my feelings aside and I have to come back to the teacher. And I came back, and one day I walk in the office and she's crying. And I said, "Are you okay?" She said, "How do you know that I needed some of you?" I said, "Because you're the person brought me back in here and it's something." And she was like, talk for a few minutes, give her a hug. And she said, "I needed this so much." Sometimes you never know why God put you in that position, in that place. And after that, that place have been filled. The next teacher was wonderful and we worked together. So put your feelings aside, bring your skills and talents and gifts for the betterment of others. Because when your cup is full and you love what you do, guess what? God is putting you in that position because you can do it. And that is generosity. Check on people, be intentional, look at their eyes, the body language, how they talk. Because as Tim said, you never know how one word, one touch, physical touch, a hug, a good word can change lives at the right moment, but any day too.
Absolutely. Absolutely can. And when I ask someone how they're doing, it isn't simply because I can or because that's typical form, in society to just greet people. When someone says I'm okay and I'm listening to their tone, I will usually ask, just okay? Can I help? Is there something that I can help? Depending on who the person is, so it varies on how I may approach it, but I very rarely leave it at just okay, I'm just okay and keep going. I usually will find a way to be generous in that moment, to give them an opportunity to express something that they may not have been able to express to anyone else because they're struggling with something. And think about that. That's an act of generosity that you can practice. That could be one of your people this month. The next time someone says, I'm okay, with a down tone, when you ask how they're doing, ask them, just okay? Is it something that I can help with? You want to talk about it? Or whatever seems appropriate in that moment. So thank you. Thank you for that, Donika. So let's go now over to Brenda. Brenda's hand is up. Go ahead, Brenda. And then we'll go to Kenny.
Let's add trustworthy to the list of generosity, because when we give our time, the people that we need to be we need to be trusted. We need to be trustworthy. So when people come to us, hopefully we give their time and we're not telling their business, and you know what I'm trying to sort of say, but trustworthy to generosity.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's one of the hindrances to generosity. Sometimes we don't demonstrate generosity because we don't trust people. We have skepticism about what they may do with our generosity, or we're skeptical about them showing a lack of appreciation. But if you're the person that's receiving the generosity, be trustworthy with it. Be trustworthy with it so that people can appreciate the opportunity that they've had to be generous with you. So thank you for adding that, Brenda. And what we'll do is go now to Kenny. Kenny, how are you?
I'm fine. Good evening. Okay, evening here. So it is Kene.
Kenny. Okay. And you know what? It was, maybe I need my glasses on, but I thought earlier it was Kene. But
Yeah, I changed it.
okay.
I changed it.
Woo,
This is my
goodness.
actual
Thank
name.
you. Thank you for telling me that, because I definitely wrote Kene. Okay, Kenny. Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome
So
to the space,
evening.
Kenny.
This is my first time here, and I would say I was lucky to find this space because the topic basically feels like it's talking to me. I have problems with speaking confidently. So I have things I want to say, but cannot say it because I feel I might not put it out right, or I might get misunderstood and things like that. So back to the topic on being kind and being generous. I have been on both sides, and I would say it has been really interesting, and to see people smile and to see people putting in efforts to make you smile has been really life changing, and sort of gave me some inspiration to keep being this person that wants to extend a helping hand, whichever way I can, financially, emotionally, physically, with my services. So, and then for me personally, I think I am currently in a stage in my life where I cannot see my progress. Before I go for that, I'm a software developer, and I have been at it for 3 years, but it looks like I am in a stagnant position right now. And as an act of um, kindness, I would really appreciate directions or guidance. Anyone who can guide me, help me move forward, help me reach greater heights so that I can be of service to the society at large. So that's it from me. Thank you for this opportunity, Tim. I'm grateful.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kenny. We're grateful for you. Appreciate your presence here today. And one of the biggest things that I would say to you, where you feel stagnant, is if you've ever seen a plant in the garden, if you've ever seen a tomato on the vine, we don't get to see the tomato grow. We don't really see the progress. If you look at it on Sunday and you go back on Saturday, you may see a difference. It may appear to be bigger, or it may actually be bigger. But if you sit there and just watch that tomato, you don't recognize the progress that it's making. And the same happens with us. that when you're trying to do something, you're trying to grow and expand your abilities and move forward, you're so close to it that you don't always recognize the progress that you're making. And this is where writing down your wins, understanding what those goals are. So if you have goals you're trying to accomplish, write those goals down. Write down the steps of implementation. And as you're able to check off the goals, as you're able to check off the steps of implementation, then you have a documented listing of your progress to be able to know that you're actually moving forward. Because we have big dreams, we have big goals and things we want to accomplish. And the bigger your vision, the longer it takes. And it can be a little more work to get where you're trying to go. So give yourself grace, be patient with yourself. And this is for everyone in the space. Be patient with yourself because it takes time to grow. A, a child doesn't become an adult in a week. It takes 18 years to be considered an adult. So it's progress over time. And in being generous, if we spend time figuring out how we can help other people, it opens the door for us to not be so caught up in what's going on in ourselves as well. Now we're contributing to someone else's success. And what they say, time flies when you're having fun, but time also flies when you're serving and helping other people as well. And you get to benefit from that and you're growing at the same time. So, Kene, I would just say be patient with yourself and write it down. Write down what you're doing, where you're going, and how you're getting there so you can see the documented proof that you're actually making progress. So, and I think that would be very helpful for you. And help other people, with some projects. Do some things that may stretch you a little bit. Join some of the groups where they are doing development and doing that type of work that helps you become more creative and solve problems a little differently. So thank you for coming up and sharing that. So let's go now over to it's Amber and then Ingrid.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome to the space. Great to have you.
Hi, Tim. Nice
Hi.
to meet you. So I'm Amber. Thanks for letting me up, and this is a lovely space. I'll say that what I asked for Christmas from the universe or whatever, for solstice, was help and direction in public speaking and communicating clearly. So thank you for being here and hosting this. This is lovely. It was a great way to wake up. And I'm going to say what helped me as far as generosity, aside from this context of learning how to public speak and to think clearly and to communicate concisely, is honest feedback on my outlook. I create out that I believe that the world needs that helps humanity heal. I used to be a massage therapist and personal trainer and then my own wellness clinic. So I understand at least some of the nervous system. So I create art that is designed to help the nervous system to heal in whatever way that looks like. And I would really love if somebody would actually take a look at what I'm doing and saying this works and that works, but this isn't quite landing and maybe tweak this. That would be incredible. And I just want to say thank you for being here and hosting this lovely community. It's been a really lovely way to spend the morning with you.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us. And I don't know if you decided or were comfortable enough joining that community, but I would love for you to post that, what it is you could use help with in the chat so that people can take a look at it. And then there's a reference because even if it isn't today, these spaces live on and someone may see it next week and they have an idea that sends it to the moon with what it is you're trying to accomplish. So that would be very helpful to be able to do that.
Indeed. Yes, I did join, so I will log on when I get on the computer.
Okay, absolutely. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we appreciate you being here. And what I will say,
appreciate you.
yes, what I will say about growing as a speaker, and I know Kene mentioned this about public speaking and trying to get better. In order to get better as a public speaker, you have to do it. It requires practice. There is no magic pill, no magic potion, no secret sauce to being a better speaker and growing. It's getting the reps. And environments like this, where you practice intentionally, it helps you understand how to formulate your thoughts, how to be concise, how to get comfortable being uncomfortable, and learning to think on your feet. And those are big parts of the process. Those are big parts of the process that get you where you're trying to go. And that was the timer. So Amber had another minute and a half left. But this is where I say, just because you have time doesn't mean you need to use it. Don't force yourself to say more than is necessary. Say what's necessary and be willing to land the plane or anchor the ship, Rumi. Anchor the ship. So, but I just know that you have to practice. You have to be willing to practice in order to get better. And the most important part of being a good communicator, not just a public speaker, being a good communicator is your ability to connect with people. If you have the ability to connect with people, it doesn't matter how eloquent you are or are not, because people connect with your words and your message. And that's the most important part of communicating and interacting is your message and how well people are able to receive it. So keep that in mind. Just focus on your connection more than anything. The speaking part, the eloquence, that will come over time. It's just practice and repetition. For those of you who know how to ride a bike, in the beginning, you were scared to ride the bike without the training wheels. And now you're probably riding with no hands and you're doing wheelies. Well, maybe not now. Please don't ride the bike. I know some of us don't need to be riding bikes right now. There's too many other things to be concerned about, like breaking bones and not being able to go to work. But that's just the way we transform and we progress in life and in developing skills. But be patient with yourself as you do that. So, what I want to do now, we're going to go to Ingrid. And after Ingrid, let's see, Ingrid, we had Mary, Tomatum. I see Kate's hand as well. So, let's go to Ingrid, and then I'll sort this out after Ingrid. Go ahead, Ingrid. How are you? Welcome to the space. Oh, Ingrid isn't it? Okay, Ingrid keeps getting dropped. So we'll go on over to Mary. So Mary, and then we'll try to come back to Ingrid after this. How are you, Mary?
Hello, everyone.
Oh, Ingrid made it. Okay. Hello, Ingrid. Great to have you. Great to see you. You're muted, Ingrid.
Great to be here. Hi, Danica. Hi, Brenda. Hi, Mama B, and hi, everyone in the room. It's been interesting, and today's topic is really great. I mean, I know Brenda came out and said about trustworthy. I feel authenticity is what matters more, and being the generosity is lifelong, and it's kindness, showing kindness. And right now, we need to show kindness to our state of California, Los Angeles. They're going to need us more than ever. We need to be together, really spreading kindness, because the vitriol that's around us, it's awful. It's awful seeing people rejoicing in what's going on in California. And it brings tears. It hurts to be in this country for 55 years and see such devastation, and seeing other Americans rejoicing, watching others suffer like this. So, yes, generosity is lifelong, and kindness is needed more and more than ever. I hate to sound so mushy today, but it hurts me to know that we are going backwards and not forward. And I do hope that the kindness and generosity will lift all of us up to better times ahead. Thank you for allowing me to at least say this. And thank you, Tim, for the generosity that you share with us every single Saturday. And sorry I missed Thursday, but I'm back. I just needed to just get my act together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ingrid. And yes, the generosity is needed. And this is one of the reasons it's so important for us to have environments like this and to have people that are committed to doing things differently, because it does impact others. It impacts those around us, and the people who may have some of the most hateful and mean demeanors and attitudes about themselves. You'll be surprised that when they encounter someone that's unshakable, that's not moved by their behavior, and you're able to demonstrate a level of strength that doesn't allow their hostility to penetrate your heart, they have no choice but to change, because it's hard for someone to argue by themselves. It's hard for someone to throw arrows at a target that they can't hit. And we have to make that commitment to be generous, to be confident and effective communicators, because that opens the door for us to transform this world one interaction at a time. And it's possible, it's real, and it happens. But someone has to be willing to take the mantle and do that. We have to be willing to do that. There's a ripple effect that happens as a result of doing that, but we have to commit to it. So let's go over now to Brenda. I see your hand, Brenda.
Yes, thank you, sir. Oh my gosh, Ingrid, my heart just melted. Um, I did add authenticity to the list of generosity, and I would like to say that I think I am one of those unshakable people, because I've heard about this going on, but I feel sorry for them. I'm unshakable.
Mm, yes, because they're the ones that have the problem, and we do our part where we can, when we can, and let them deal with that on their own. But yes, my heart goes out to you, Ingrid. I know your concern and your compassion that you have, and it can be hurtful when we see that, and it makes you wonder what hope is there for society. But I tell you that the hope is there, because people like us, when we do what we do, we have the conversations that we have in the midst of all those other conversations going on. We know that when we step into a room, we're the thermostats, and we can change the environment. And when we believe it and do it, things change. They change. Even when people don't want it to change, they have no choice, because when the thermostat gets turned up in the room, it's going to get hot. It's going to get hot or cool. But thank you for sharing that. So it's 1 o'clock, and what I'll do, I realize in order to close at 1:30, we have to wrap up the speakers by 1:20. Otherwise, it will still be 1:40 or whatever it is later. So that's something that I'm going to do this year. I've said it, and we did. We were over about 3 or 4 minutes last week, but it dawned on me, you've got to end the speakers around 1:20 to make sure that we can get out of here. Now, what I want to do, and I know that there are a number of hands up, but I wanted to make sure that we get to do at least one or two of these challenges where we start stretching our brains again. And I'll go in the order in case one of you want to do this. So at the top of the space, I posted some images. And there's an image of, yeah, you'll see them. You'll see them. Hold on one second. Okay, one, two. Yeah, so there's 3 images. So take a look at those images. And for those of you, if someone has already had a chance to look at them, what I want you to do is I want you to pretend that you're the artist. And as the artist, you're going to tell us the name of the art, and then you're going to tell us what it represents and what it means to you, what the inspiration was behind that art. So you're the artist, and you're going to explain what it means. And why is this valuable? What this does is this gets you comfortable sharing your ideas and opinions about something, because your idea about the art may be different from mine. It may be different from someone else, but you need to get comfortable with who you are and what you think, what your perceptions are. And that's why I want to do this. And I want to do at least one. So we have, I'm going to see who want to volunteer to do this. One of you that's already up as a speaker. Who will volunteer to do this? Mary?
I'll do it, but I can't see the pictures.
I will. I love the pictures.
Okay. Well, I need someone that's seen the picture that knows where they are. So who said that they see the
I
picture?
saw them.
You saw them?
I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it's magnificent.
Okay. So what I want you to do, Mary, is I want you to let me know which image you're looking at so I can see it as well. And then
I'm looking at Mubin Hamad, and I already asked him, can I buy the point painting?
Look at that. So
I would love that on my wall. It says everything to me.
So what I want you to do, Mary, I want you to tell us what the name of the artwork is. Because remember, everyone, this is a
Wait,
dramatization.
I don't see that. Tim, I don't see that.
Listen,
it just says rate my
listen,
artwork.
listen to me. Listen to me. The goal here is for you to pretend that you're the artist. This is the exercise. You are the artist. You're pretending. And you're going to tell us what the name of the artwork is. And then you're going to tell us what this artwork means. What does it say? What is this artwork describing? You got
First
it?
thing I see right now while you were saying that, first of all, I want to thank you again for this. Absolutely, I can't define this space that you hold with all these beautiful people here. So that cut into my time, Tim. But anyway, I am very grateful for you all of you. You have no idea, Tim, what you're doing for all these people. And Nikeen, I want you to contact me, DM me, honey. I'm really good with boys. I raised them all my life. I will help you in any way I can. I've made a lot of mistakes in my life and learned from them. This picture says to me, if I were to name it in one word, found.
Found.
Can I explain it?
Yes, that's it. That's the
Okay,
yes.
here's this little girl. She's walking through with this tiny light. And that's all you need, everyone, is a tiny light. Don't look far ahead. Just hold on to your light. And he found her. This big monstrosity found that little light because it shined enough for him to see it in the darkness. That's what this picture reminds me of. That's how I interpret this picture. It's beautiful. I don't want to hang on here anymore. I'm never ashamed of crying. I don't know where he was when he painted this, but this really needs to be acknowledged somewhere in the world. It's saying many things for all of us. Thank you for the time on the mic, Tim.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mary, for such a beautiful expression of what that means, what it says to you, because I've looked at this a number of times and I've literally had this saved for months to do this in the space, and that did not come to mind. So thank you for sharing that.
Look how little she is against that big brute. Look, and this is another thing I interpreted. We all may be little against these big brutes in this world and what they're doing around the world. I want everybody to hold on because, Ingrid, we may be in the throes of it now, but I know that God, He's opening all these pedophiles around the world. My heart.
And
Wait,
yes,
let me finish this, Tim. My heart is just dying for the people over in Sudan that are starving. So I know how you feel. I'm dropping the mic. Thank you for the time.
Thank you. Thank you, Mary. And so the title that Mary gave was Found. It was Found. And to see the little light, that all you need is a little light to shine and you can be found. And in that picture is a big bear. And it allowed her to be found and discovered. And who knows what that bear may do to protect her, to save her, to comfort her. So that was a great expression of what you saw in that. Brenda, go ahead. I see your hand.
Thank you, sir. Mary, I know your heart. Tim, you said you've had this saved for months. Mary, I do believe this is maybe your second or third time to this space. So how incredible is that? And Mary, let me know if you buy that painting. I will be so I will it will just excite me to know that what the connection did.
I asked them in the purple pill, Brenda.
And what I will say is you probably want to reach out to him specifically through his username, because he's in the Artist on the Chain community as well. So he probably isn't here, but I pinned his tweet so that everyone would know who actually created it. So I just wanted to point that out. So
Tim,
thank you.
could I ask you something? Can you ask people to put it in the purple pill how they viewed the painting? I'm really interested in how they saw it.
That would be interesting to hear what other people's perceptions are of the painting. So if anyone is interested or willing to share your view of that image, then we would love to hear that. Or either of those three images that I posted. Go ahead, Donika. Go ahead, Donika.
I just wanted to tell Mary a beautiful name, but she can go to Artists on the Chain. My sister Bobby Beaker is in there, and she will help you to find the artist and maybe to connect, because it's easy for her than all of us in here. So just go there, and I'm going to text her right now to say that you might come in the space and look into buy that painting.
Absolutely. And definitely, and it wouldn't get any easier than sending that person directly a message as well, because I'm sure they're on the lookout for a request to buy it. And so what we'll do, let's go now over to, I want to see if one more person wants to do one.
I'd like to. I found the pictures.
Okay. So
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Katie. How are
So
you?
I was waving. I was really moved by Miss Mary right there, and I was like, okay, I found the pictures.
So which picture do you want to describe? So you're the artist. You tell us the name of the image, and then you tell us what the image means.
Amen. Okay, so the artist, I don't want to say the name wrong. It's Gabo.
No. You're the artist. Are you just?
I'm the artist.
Yes, you're the artist. We're pretending you're the artist, and you
okay.
tell us the name of the photo that you've created, and then you explain what it means.
Okay, so I am the artist. I'm Katie Waisel, and the title of this piece is called Self Portrait. It is a group of 4 people.
I'm sorry, Katie. Is it possible to turn the television down?
Oh, it's okay. I'll walk outside. Sorry,
Okay.
it's my son. Yeah, so I'm gonna call this the self portrait, and it's an image of 4 people that almost look like they're made out of I don't know, neurons, wires, just intricate detail. But I call this the self portrait because there are many different versions of myself, yet I am still me. I am, how do I best explain this? The second person to the left is almost healing the person to the right, and that's supposed to reflect and represent my inner child. And the person to their right is also comforting. This looks like, well, the 3 of them are comforting my inner child. But it really is supposed to represent the intricacies of who we are and how one is made up. And there's lots of different sides and aspects of one person. So I wanted to title this a self-portrait.
Lovely, lovely. Self-portrait. And I looked at that and I didn't even think about it being multiple versions of the same person. So this is the beauty of taking time to listen to other people's perspectives, because it opens the door. And remember, sometimes generosity is just listening. It's giving people time. And one of the potential benefits of that generosity is improving our creativity and problem solving and learning new things from people when they share. So I love that, Katie, that you see different versions of yourself and how those different versions are supporting the main character of Katie. And that's what we have to do, because as we go through life, we have different experiences and we're at a different point in life where we think differently, we feel differently, we believe differently, and all of that comes together to form and shape who we are today. So excellent. That's wonderful. Wonderful. So let's go now. What I got to do now is, because it is 12:12, and I made a commitment to do at least 2 of those challenges today. So we got to do that. And this is about being intentional, everyone, where we have to make little sacrifices here and there to fulfill our commitments that we make. So I want to go ahead and say we'll go to Tomatum, and we'll have to do, it's 12, 113. So we have 4 people. All right. So 2 minutes, and then we're going to get ready to wrap up. So let's go to Tomatum. How are you, Tomatum?
Hello, Tim. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'm doing great. What about you?
Fantastic, fantastic. Great to see you.
We have, now I really want to know, like, we have a saying, a very famous saying in Egypt. We say it in Arabic, of course, but I'll say it's translated, which is, everyone is asking me, what are you doing? But no one asks, how are you doing? So, Tim, really, I want to ask you, how are you doing for real?
I am for real doing very well. I'm excited about this space, this community, and it brings tremendous joy to my heart to know that people are being impacted in a positive way with the time we spend together as a community. So that's how I'm doing.
Okay, great. So actually, I have nothing prepared to say, and you kind of saved me by, talking about the challenges. So I'm gonna do this. Is that okay?
Sure, we can do that. So which one of
Okay.
those did you have?
Mubin Ahmed, the one with the girl and the bear.
Okay, go ahead.
I was kind of surprised because this photo literally represents my condition nowadays. So if first I'm gonna name it, I would name it solitude and fear, because this is what I'm feeling nowadays. I am the girl in the photo, and the bear is something that I'm so afraid of. I have to go and make sure of it first. I'm still not sure, but it's eating me alive. So this is me alone, standing there in the dark. The dark represents my thoughts, and the bear is the fear that I have to discover soon, whether is it real or not. And I don't know. Close people have been asking me to talk about it, but the problem is that I don't want to talk about it because I have nothing to say. I'm just feeling it. And unfortunately, I'm a person who doesn't cry easily. And some people say that it's a blessing, but I would say it's also a curse in disguise, because little do they know that the last time I cried, I think it was 5 months ago. So imagine the amount of negative thoughts and negative feelings that are piled inside, and I just want to cry them out. I don't want to talk about them. Like, people tell me you can confide in us and things like this, but it's like, I don't want to talk. I want to cry them out. I tried many ways to cry, but I couldn't. So that's why I can tremendously relate to this painting. Actually, I saved it to my phone. So thank you, Tim Brown. That's all what I have to say.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And yet another perspective that expands our thought process on looking at the same image. And this is why, as confident and effective communicators, we embrace and respect the different perspectives that people have. Just because their perspective is different doesn't mean they're wrong. And we have to accept that. And something that I've learned to do is instead of agreeing to disagree, I agree to have a different opinion. I agree to have a different perspective. And that removes, for me, the negativity out of it because if you agree and then you turn around and disagree, then you still are at odds with someone, essentially. So we agree to have different perspectives. It removes the negativity in my mind. So thank you for sharing that, Tomatum, not knowing if the bear is there to hurt you or help you. And sometimes that's what we face in life when we're confronted with decisions and certain people that we may not really know. So we have to wonder and figure out what's their intent here in this moment. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So let's go now over to Rumi.
Hi Tim, hi Don, hi Brenda. Um, Honest admission, Katie, you took my art and you did a very good job with it. Lovely description. And when you spoke the word neurons, I was like, yes, I wanted to say something about it as well, but I'm not going to do that. The very fact this topic of the space is generosity. It's a clearing issue that we have to have spaces about being generous. That is what is wrong with the world today, unfortunately. And someone was generous enough yesterday when I was going through so many thoughts in my head or voices, because I wanted to call the painting a voice, like voices, because there are so many voices. And I spoke to this lovely gentleman for an hour on a call, and he was kind enough to take time, generous enough. I must mention the word generous, take time out and speak to me. And I asked him, man, I'm going to leave this platform unless you tell me some reason to stay on it. So, yeah, be generous, be kind, love each other, I love you all. And you never know. I mean, small acts of generosity can take you a long way. So I'll anchor my boat right there. That's where Tim got this idea, because everyone lands their plane and I was like, I need to come up with something different because I'm in England and I should just not be landing my planes. I should just anchor out right on time on Tim's chime. And that person was Tim Brown, by the way, on the phone call. Thank you so much, Tim.
Absolutely, Rumi. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I'm going to use that though. I'll anchor my ship. I want to anchor my ship, or yeah, lower the anchor. So we're going to go now over to and time, everyone. It doesn't take a lot. It's the simple things that may not mean a lot to us, but you never know what they mean to someone else. So let's go over now to Ashadul. Let's see, is Ashadul still here? Ashadul may have had to leave. So let's go to Mama B. Mama B, let's hear from you. What you got?
Yes, it's going to be quick, Tim. What a space, what a space. So I am Mama B, talking about my artwork, that one with the bear. And first of all, before I go to the bear there, what Ingrid said, I feel you, Ingrid. I feel you. And I will never understand how human beings can be comfortable with the suffering of other human beings. I will never understand that. And what's sad is that a lot of the stuff that's going on in the street is infiltration by other countries who have unleashed their trolls to make it look like there's more people who think one way, and we are these useful idiots that are amplifying these hateful messages and destroying our own nation. It is unbelievable to me. The wolves in sheep clothing that lurk among us. And so with this bear here, that's what I see. Because when we do these spaces, we are lighting the candle. I'm always saying, I use the hashtag, light the candle in the darkness that these streets can be. And so with this art, I see this young little girl with the light, and it says to me, light the candle in the darkness so you're able to see the danger lurking there. So let's light the candle, people. Let's be aware about the messages that we are amplifying, because I don't know whether inadvertently or not, that we are choosing to be minions of the evil one. We need to be careful about and know what we're doing to our nation when we do such foolishness, which is really not foolishness, it's evil. So thank you. I'm done speaking.
Thank you, Mama B. And a bear can absolutely tear you apart. So we have to be careful and have that light. And sometimes the light, that little light, can be that small voice that Tomatum has, that Amber has, that Lawan has, that Lazolia has. Your voice can be the light that allows people to see the potential danger lurking in the darkness. And it's subtle and casual, but it's there and it's impactful at the same time. So don't be afraid, everyone, to use your voice to say and share the things that are in your heart, even when it's different from what everyone else or what you think other people may want to hear. Because being different is what allowed the first person to make a car become successful. They did something different. Being the first person to slice bread allowed them to be different. Being the person who created the GPS for the car, which was something different, it allowed them to stand apart and to have impact that benefited the world or a lot of people in the world, or whatever it is that you know that someone had to dare to be different. So don't be afraid to share your thoughts and ideas, even when they're different, because the words you speak could potentially, literally save someone's life. Go ahead, Brenda, and then we'll go to Grace and wrap up.
Thank you, sir. You know, I will propose to people, when you see things online and when you read things online, um, you know, let it be so. And then when you go out into your own community, what are you seeing? How are people treating you? I know in one person's case it might be the same, and you know, and I'm so sorry about that. But it's technically not as bad. Remember, we're in a concentrated situation where literally all the people in the world, all the evil people in the world, it would seem, but not truly, would be gathered in one spot and speaking about, you know, these evil things. But it isn't so. It isn't so. So just try to turn that off. I personally am in this world, but not of it. So I'm really sorry about this, Tim, but praise everyone. God bless you all. Praise God. That's just who I am. And if you're in this room, I know you are of a good, like-minded soul. So, okay.
Thank you, Brenda. Thank you. And it is our perception. And as humans, it's easy if we're constantly seeing something, it's hard to imagine that that isn't the norm. But we have to realize it and put in perspective the ones that we do that are doing the right things, that are doing the things to uplift us and build us up, to realize that there's a lot of them out there as well. And I'm guilty of it. I've had my moments, I have my moments where the negativity makes me question. And it's been times where I said, you know what, I'll be okay if God just burn it up and start over again because it's so crazy. but there's enough positive people out here that if we remain true to who we are, we can have an impact that overrides and cancels out the negativity that we experience. We just can't allow it to affect us. And when it doesn't affect us, it eventually spreads where it no longer affects the people associated with us because of the ripple effect that we have because of our presence. Sometimes the fact that you walk into a room and people see your smile, it changes the environment of that room. And that's what we have to continue to do, regardless of the negativity that other people are presenting and spreading in the world, because we can change that. We just have to be willing to stand with it. And it goes bad when the good guys give up and quit. That's when the bad guys win, when the good guys give up and quit. So we have to make sure that we don't quit fighting the good fight, so that those who don't have a voice, who don't understand how to fight the right way, so that they have an example to understand how to resist and not get caught up in the negativity that's so prevalent in the world today. So thank you for that, Brenda and Mama B. So we'll go to Grace really quickly, and then we're going to go ahead and wrap up. Grace.
I love you, Tim. You bring the best thought-provoking people together and places. And this picture, I drew this picture of this little girl. She looks like a little girl, but if you look closely, she's a grown woman. But inside, she's a little girl, and she's come back to being that little girl before she started having the fears, before the nightmares started. She's going back, and I want you all to help me give a title to my picture, because I can't quite describe. Is it perfect love casting out all fear? Is it delight of pure love? Is it love conquers all? Is it childlike faith becomes sight? I think what I've landed on, and let me know if you agree with my picture of this little girl in the dark, realizing that this bear that she was afraid of because she couldn't see, she didn't let her light shine, is that love lights and leads the way. It truly is my story, because when I was a little girl, I had no fear. I had such a close relationship with my daddy, and I wanted to be like my daddy. And I heard about heaven and hell, and my daddy told me, I said, Daddy, I don't want to go to hell. I heard about hell as a 4-year-old at church. And he said, you don't have to be afraid. Jesus made a way. And so 6 months later, our car rolled off the freeway at 55 miles an hour. And I had this best invisible friend, my little light. But there was fears, and I didn't want to tell anybody. But you know what? That little light kept shining and turning all my fears and my pain and the enemies. I can face them, and they don't. It just, because that love casts out all fear. So love lights the way. Love you.
There we go. There's the title. Love Lights the Way. You just hit it right there, Grace. So thank you for that, Grace. And I love going back to the place of the fear with the light, so that you can illuminate the darkness to uncover whatever it is that you're afraid of, to confront it. So what we'll do is I want to say thank you all for such a great conversation today. And remember that challenge. Pick one person a month or someone every 3 months for 2025, and show some generosity to them, and make note of it. Make note of what you do, who it is you help, who you're generous to, and how you feel when you did it, so that this becomes a part of who you are, not just what you do. Because there's a lot of things we do, but it isn't really who we are. Just think about the time that you helped someone that you didn't want to do it. So you were serving out of guilt or fear of whatever they may do or say or think about you, but it wasn't out of love. But I really challenge everyone to do that. And what I want to do is thank all of you that have spoken. I appreciate you for coming in to speak, and for all of our listeners. Newell B, I see you requesting, and I hope you can come back and make it next week. But Josh, great to see you, Josh. And Josh is doing the Innovators Think Tank at 4:00 Eastern time in a couple hours here. We got Just in the space. Lawan, Lazolia, AI, great to see you. Christy, we got Brock, praying for you, brother. We got Kim, Hans Tactical. We have Egods Doge, Morton, Cassie, First Steps, Vero, Republic of Somaliland. We have Lana. We also have Me Primed. Rona. We have Cool Stan. We have Bella, Eunice, Eukarya, Manhandle. We have Ulster Paras, Iman Tipez. We also have Scholar Biba, Pearl, Utkarsh. We have Yusra, Anaya. We have Anaya. And then we have Fuel Need Spark. We also have Rotish Mugala, Nadia Forever, Anna, Haroon, Douglas, Avinash, Dennis. We have Safari, Patricia, and Joseph here in the space with us today. And I thank you all for listening in and always appreciate your time. And I hope that you allow generosity to become a part of who you are and not just something that you do, because that changes the way you approach those moments and those situations. And I promise you, you will begin to find joy in every act of generosity that you share, because it's more blessed to give than receive. And whoever refreshes others will be refreshed. And sometimes it's in ways that you never expected. So thank you all. I appreciate you. Oh, and just for those of you who may be interested, I'm doing a different kind of space tomorrow. I'm going to do a 4-week series, and I called it Christianity Made Simple, because that's who I am. So I wanted to do a separate space so that for those who believe in that or are interested in that, have the option to have that type of conversation where no one needs to feel alienated. Because in this space, I want us to be able to focus on communication and not have someone not come because there's too much, I say, quote unquote, religion that's going on in this space. So I'm going to do this one separately. Christianity Made Simple. And that's going to be tomorrow afternoon at 3:00 p.m. Eastern Time for those of you who may want to join and participate. But thank you again. And I really appreciate you all and hope that you are all blessed in all that you do. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Confident Speaking Space. Your contributions as a speaker and your presence listening live or on the replay are greatly appreciated. If you enjoyed the experience and want to show some love, feel free to visit the link on my profile and buy me a coffee. Until we meet again, I pray you have a fantastic week ahead. So be blessed, be safe, and be intentional about becoming a more confident and effective communicator. Let's get it.